and I think we will be going in a very short break, and then we will be back. Oh, actually, okay, players are ready. Okay,
yeah,
so
we know you all would have preferred the break, but we'll give you a match instead.
Okay, so we have this very interesting team coming out from Luis Lopez, and he will be up against Jonathan Evans from the US, actually. There he is. He's studying, though, in the UK, so he didn't just make it all the way just for this tournament, but he's actually like a EU local kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, too. You know, we always get this nice mix of countries at the European National Championships. Here in the UK, we have an American as well.
Yeah.
Typically part of the mix, but...
And he's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, impressive, too. I mean, we had a hugely successful career in North America. I think someone who's always been established as a good player, but was looking for that big finish, and it looks like he's going to get it here.
Yeah, definitely. He also opts to go with that very standardish approach. He has the same 6 Pokémon, just like Joseph Richardson and William Tansley, for example, that we both featured on the stream yesterday and earlier today as well. But Luis Lopez, looking at his team, I'm not entirely sure. Is that a Mandibuzz?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how many people, like, if you showed a picture of Mandibuzz, would even remember it was a Pokemon. So, very exciting to see that here. You know, I think it's a format where a lot of players have really struggled to be creative, and making it to the top 16 of a national championship that's been as hotly contested as this one with Mandibuzz, it's almost unthinkable.
Yeah, I was trying to make it work in previous formats since it got that foul play boosted by its dark type, so that does a lot of damage. It has knockoff as well to get rid of some items, and Tailwind for some support as well as Snarl. So it has some utility options, but then again, it's Mandibuzz, you know? So if you have also the option to, say, go for a Thundurus or a Landorus Therian form, then maybe Mandibuzz is not the most appealing supportive flying type.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really impressive that he's gotten so far using Mandibuzz. You know, I don't think you can get to this point in the tournament you're just only using 5 Pokemon or whatever, especially given that he's got some other very interesting Pokemon in his team. So, you know, really impressive that he's gotten that kind of mileage out of a Pokemon that I think basically everyone overlooked.
Yeah, and he was able to defeat Arash Omati with that very team. And as you can see, also a Ditto making its first appearance on stream. Now, Ditto... while in previous formats, I don't think it was as appreciated. However, in this format, I think it makes a lot of sense. We have all those restricted Pokemon, more often than not, also backed up with a Mega Pokemon. So more often than not, you will find yourself in a position where you can just go for that imposter ability and copy one of your opponent's primals, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the interesting part of Ditto this year is that, you know, especially if you don't lead with it, where you're a little bit more likely to turn into something that maybe you don't want to copy.
Yes.
There's a lot of Pokemon on your opponent's team that you're likely to get good value out of. You know, you're limited in the amount of restricted Pokemon you have. You can only have 1 Mega Evolved Pokemon, so a Ditto can kind of cheat a little bit and add to one of those totals.
Yeah. So if you go for like Kangaskhan, your dual primals, and then the Ditto to take one of those grounds, for example, that can be really difficult, especially in such a mirror game where both players opt to go with that ground and Kyogre. Say, switching your Ditto to reactivate a weather ability that is not in effect at the moment can really hinder your opponent's plans.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a really difficult team to play against. You know, it's just one of those things you don't have to think about very often. You know, we have seen some Ditto this year, but typically it's been with Groudon and Xerneas, not with double primal. So probably not a matchup that many players have practiced.
Yeah, definitely also the Mandibuzz coming in there. I don't think Jonathan has practiced that matchup at all. He decides to go with Elite that has been seen some usage, Amoonguss and Salamence. You just get that Intimidate out there. You have Amoonguss on the field more often than not. It will be able to survive a turn, get off a Spore, and just set your primals into a better position.
Yeah, pretty safe lead by Jonathan there. It's not a lead that I think there's many things that you're going to get a huge advantage against, but you're also not going to start out hugely behind. So I think a smart way to play game one, and probably telling too with the team of his opponent here, where you can't really be too aggressive because you have no idea what you're going to get.
Yeah, you never know if the Mandibuzz is coming out, and you definitely want to have some damage potential against the board. By the way, it also doesn't get Overcoat as ability, right? So that would be something to take care of that Amoonguss, but Jonathan's still feeling confident here leading with Amoonguss. Now, another interesting thing, Luis, despite the fact that his opponent will probably have the Groudon in the back, does still lead off with his Kyogre and Thundurus, so that could indicate some roleplay shenanigans.
Wouldn't be surprised. See, Thundurus going for that taunt. You know, one of the main reasons players use Thundurus there, but Mental Herb activating with Amoonguss didn't just allow that to happen for nothing. And Kyogre's Icy Wind misses Amoonguss, the Spore goes off, and Thundurus won't be taunting anything for the next few turns.
Yeah, Mental Herb, basically Taunt and Mental Herb are always like regulating each other a little bit. It's in a pretty interesting dynamic. Like if everything ran Mental Herb, people would probably not use Taunt as frequently. But as things stand, Thunderous carry Taunt more often than not. So going with that Mental Herb on Amoonguss, yeah, just helps him to get off that Spore now, and the next turn he can go for another Spore on the Kyogre, for example.
It seems like Mental Herb's actually been really popular this tournament. A bunch of teams have been using it.
Yeah. So Salamence comes back here, and that Groudon is coming in. So since Thundurus is asleep, he does not have to worry about anything like a roleplay coming out whatsoever. So going into the Groudon, despite seeing the Icy Wind, even if that comes out, it wouldn't deal too much damage, I would suppose. Though Lewis might also want to prevent his Kyogre from being put to sleep by Spore, so he could just go for Protect here.
And he does that exactly. I think this is a wise play there. You kind of want to spend turns trying to get Thundurus a chance to wake up. Not a whole lot he could have accomplished there. So, wisely doesn't get put to sleep. But now this puts up a really tricky turn for him. Kyogre staring down Groudon, the danger of leading one of your primals like that as you get a tough matchup like this. And switching is going to be really risky, too. You don't want to just give up Spore for free and allow two of your Pokemon to be put to sleep so early in the match.
Yeah, definitely. However, he has to come up with a plan. I mean, he probably needs Kyogre to be able to prevent his opponent from going for those Fire-type attacks. Maybe he is also running that Hidden Power Water on Thundurus. I wouldn't be surprised seeing how his team is composed, but no switches coming out just yet, and Jonathan does not opt to go for that Spore, but instead will go for that Rage Powder here, despite the fact that we have already seen Icy Wind being the Ice-type attack of choice on that Kyogre.
Yeah, it does use that Icy Wind, so Rage Powder not going to accomplish much here. I'm kind of looking at it the same way you did, where I'm not sure when it's going to Rage Powder, unless it has two Ice-type attacks. I mean, Thunder certainly isn't going to hurt Groudon any with the Sun Up, but the Icy Wind does go off, lowers the speed of both Pokemon, so Kyogre able to get that speed advantage. Thundurus, thanks to the Focus Sash, able to survive Fire Punch. Decent odds of it waking up this turn. Even if it does so, probably not going to do too much other than taunt Amoonguss again. But, that Mental Herb burned, at least taunt would work this time.
Yeah, earlier I was almost saying that Jonathan could have attacked into the Thundurus with Amoonguss, but it wouldn't have accomplished anything. Now seeing that the Focus Sash is the item on Lewis's Thundurus, that actually might have been something to really grab the first KO quickly in the match after launching that powerful Fire Punch. But now that he's in kind of like an awkward position where he does not want multiple Icy Winds to be thrown all over his team, but decides to switch out into his Kyogre, and there is the roleplay. So that is why Jonathan decides to switch out his Groudon. Very wise play coming out here from him, and Lewis's surprise probably does not work that well now.
Yeah, that's a really, really smart play by Jonathan. That Origin Pulse comes out. It's going to do some decent damage to both... Actually, not really. Very little damage to both Pokemon. And what could have been a horrible situation dealt with well, and Grass Knot picks up the knockout of that Thundurus. So Jonathan picks up the early lead and looks very wise, avoiding what could have been a horrible situation.
So now we probably know why Jonathan went for the Rage Powder earlier. Maybe he had an idea or a suspicion. I mean, if you see Thundurus and Kyogre lead for your opponent, roleplay is not out of the question. So he wanted to Rage Powder the roleplay away so that his opponent could not copy the Primordial C ability on that Kyogre and launch Water-type attacks.
Yeah. Winds up being a safe move. I mean, I guess he doesn't know if that Focus Sash is there, so you're not trying to break it. Good information to pick up. Plus, he doesn't really lose anything for you. He gets that knockout anyway. Does get to see the role play, so almost an advantage of not knocking Thundurus out, where he confirms that now. I think sometimes you see a player with a team like this, and you kind of just make assumptions about the sort of movesets they'd use. I'm not surprised to see role play, but definitely good for him now to know for sure.
Yeah, Jonathan definitely, with that Amoonguss lead, really just stopped that Kyogre and Thundurus lead, especially with that Mental Herb from going just like Lewis would have hoped it was. But now he has to switch in his own Groudon. Could now potentially grab a KO on that Amoonguss, though, finally.
Icy Winds going out. Decent damage on the Amoonguss. If we see a Precipice Blades, think it'll pick up the knockout as long as it hits?
Those Precipice Blades, will they hit? And they will connect. Okay, so Amoonguss probably out of commission right now. And Jonathan has to think about what to bring out next. I mean, of course, he could bring out his own Groudon, but then you're at the awkward position where you just don't know what will happen the next turn. Going from the team, I would expect that the Kyogre are more likely than not carrying like some defensive investment potentially. Groudon, on the other hand, you never know. A lot of trainers opt to go with a very fast approach there, so you don't want to run into a situation where your Pokemon are at the same speed as your opponent and you're basically just rolling the dice.
Yeah, we see all 4 primal Pokemon facing each other down here. I know Jonathan's have taken a little damage, and I also kind of like Icy Wind in this situation a lot on Lewis's side. You know, if he's able to get it off, slowing down both Pokemon, the Groudon are definitely the Pokemon in the field here are threatening the most damage because they have control of the weather, and you know, getting a speed advantage, you know, and a little bit of chip, Precipice Blades can start picking up knockouts on Jonathan's Groudon, and I think at that point it's going to be really tough to recover.
Yeah, both Kyogre can't really go for their Water-type attacks since the sun is up, so Icy Wind plus Precipice Blades might actually be enough to pick up the knockout on that Groudon. Another Icy Wind then definitely would be, but we don't see a Protect coming out from Lewis, so he didn't want to commit to a play, but leave all options available to him by just attacking with his own Groudon. And yeah, with Precipice Blades, it's just always so scary if they miss, but this time, no misses occur.
Yeah, picking up the knockout on Jonathan's Groudon there. A little surprised to see Lewis not going for the Protect to take advantage of Icy Wind.
And the Thunder, but it misses. Wow.
Yeah. Thunder in the Sun is a pretty risky play. You know, we don't see too many players using Thunder. Really good in the mirror between Kyogre as long as the rain is active. Unfortunately for Jonathan, that's not the case here. However, he does get that switch out to Salamence, who's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the field. Not only does that intimidate, reduce the damage of Lewis's Groudon, but you know, a double edge from Salamence should be able to pick up either Pokemon here. So the position's a little bit better for Jonathan now. He's behind in Pokemon count, but you know, if he makes his turns count now, he could still come out on top in this one.
Yeah, depending on what he also runs on his Kyogre, maybe Ice Beam could have been enough to knock out that Groudon, but he was probably also anticipating the Protect coming out just like we were, so Ice Beaming a Kyogre doesn't do too much damage anyway, so he tried his luck there, going for the Thunder. Unfortunately for him, not working out, but no switch is coming out, and both players are going right at it again with that Salamence Mega Evolving and potentially either going for the Double Edge or Hyper Voice, or maybe in the Tailwind. But I would be surprised.
Kind of going for the Protect first here, not wanting to.
But there it is. Okay.
And we are surprised.
I am surprised.
A game full of surprises. Salamence does set up that Tailwind to get Kyogre control of the speed, and you know, Kyogre is the enemy Kyogre going for this Icy Wind, but you know, unlike Ice Beam, not going to be enough to pick up Salamence. Oh, it does pick it up.
Does. And that has to be a critical hit.
I was going to say, I don't think that normally picks up the knockout, but that's one way for it to happen. Yeah. And Jonathan's down to just Kyogre now.
That is definitely putting the nail in the coffin here, and Lewis will most likely be able to take that game. Would be a horrendous story if that lone Kyogre was able to overcome not only his opponent's Kyogre, but also the Groudon. And what is in the back? We didn't even see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be worth it for Jonathan here to try to pick up a knockout just to get the information of what the last Pokemon was, and it looks like he is going to go for it. Cancels out of that forfeit.
Yeah, he was thinking about forfeiting, but then he realized, well, now I revealed Thunder anyway, there's not too much more my opponent. He probably expects the Ice Beam anyway, and there it is coming out. So Precipice Blades misses, and he will be able to see his opponent's last Pokemon.
It does still have a chance here. I mean, with their reduced speed, it's likely, you know, Kyogre now it's going to be able to use a Water-type attack with the Harsh Sunlight removed. Should be able to pick up the knockout, but you know, anytime you can gain information, it's a good idea.
I don't think that transforms now, since there's nothing to cross it. So,
yeah, wow. Yeah. I mean, if you know, Jonathan's Kyogre can survive a Water-type attack, he still has a chance at this one. You know, I mean, a Thunder could pick up the enemy Kyogre. Ditto's gonna have to spend a turn actually using the move Transform.
Yes.
There's still a chance.
Oh, we're seeing the Icy Wind, not trying to go for another Water-type attack, so even with the Tailwind in play, Lewis's Kyogre is faster here. The Thunder is coming out, but misses, and the Transform coming out, so yeah, this is basically what this weekend has been all about. 3 Kyogre on the field.
Yeah, yeah, we've seen a lot of Kyogre, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous. It's interesting to think what might could have happened, though. I mean, with the rain back active, the Ditto on Lewis's side, you know, having that Thunder copied from Jonathan's Kyogre is going to make it pretty tough for Jonathan to come back in this one. But, you know, if it had hit that Thunder, when you use Transform, you do copy stat boosts. Usually, you know, you think about that as a good thing when you copy, say, Xerneas' Geomancy.
And
but
what? The Quick Claw activating. Wow. What a fantastic first game there for Lewis. Yeah, picking up that victory with dual Kyogre, and Jonathan is definitely not happy about that.
That is one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a top 16 match. So I guess it turns out that, you know, even if he'd hit that Thunder, Quick Claw Thunder would have been enough to finish it off.
I mean,
Ditto's got some tricks.
Yeah, the odds are in your favor if you transform into something and you have the Quick Claw attached. So yeah, very interesting. Lewis being very calm about all of this. Also something I like to see. He's not like overconfident by this. He's like, okay, he probably did this a couple of times. I mean, it's just us that are getting excited over here since it's the first time we see it on stream.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly poised. I think that's important, right? I mean, I think it's a big advantage Lewis has probably had in this tournament where he's got all of these things that you're just not used to having to deal with. So, easy to get a little rattled if you're Jonathan here, where you're so close to winning that game and just get like a handful of really bizarre turns. Whereas Lewis, he's just playing his game, is used to this, and I think he's got probably a little advantage because of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jonathan's team, we've said it before, but he uses the exact same 6 Pokemon that other players in this tournament have played. So chances are that Lewis has probably played this exact same matchup before. I mean, of course, the players are more often than not opting to switch things up a little bit, like the Thunder Ground, the Thunder Kyogre, for example, on Jonathan's end. But yeah, then again, Lewis definitely having the information advantage here in this game. And I know Jonathan is a player that really values like high stats, for example, and like strong Pokemon. And he's definitely not happy to lose a game here against the team that has Mandibuzz and Ditto, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're trying to optimize the power on your team, Mandibuzz is probably one of the last Pokemon you look at. And, Ditto may actually go the other way. I think it's a little too risky for most players, but if you do get a good transform off and copy a primal Pokemon, it kind of does increase the power of your team. It's just dangerous. And plus, we normally see that Choice Scarf on Ditto. Quick Claw, a little bit of a different game, but, it doesn't lock you in the move. And if you have a speed tie anyway, you are more likely to move first than your opponent still.
Yeah, with a lot of players opt to go for a Trick Room approach. And there it is, the Mandibuzz shiny as well. Yeah, I didn't expect that we would see that on stream. But yeah, what I was going on about is that if you are copying, say, a Groudon in a Trick Room team while Trick Room is up, that Choice Scarf could actually like hinder your ability to get an attack off. So Quick Claw also helps in that matchup. But we do see that Mandibuzz coming out, and it does have a decent position on the board, I guess, against the Amoonguss.
Yeah, I think we're all probably excited to see what Mandibuzz can do here. I like this lead matchup for Luis. I think it makes sense not to lead with a Mandibuzz in game 1 where you're not quite sure what you're going to get. But Jonathan goes for that same safe lead of Salamence and Amoonguss, and potentially, Mandibuzz is one of the few Pokemon that can actually take a pretty big advantage here. Salamence not likely to be able to knock out Kyogre in one hit, unless it gets a very impressive critical hit, which we've seen. And Kyogre could use its Ice-type attacks against Salamence, I guess, which we've also seen need a critical hit to get the knockout. But the combination of Kyogre and Mandibuzz puts a lot of pressure on Amoonguss here, which isn't something players normally have to deal with.
Yeah, I really like the fact that Lewis is switching things up a little bit right now. It was probably a little bit too risky, seeing that Jonathan, for example, also has his own Thundurus on the team. So Thundurus would definitely be something that he wishes to have in that game against Kyogre and Mandibuzz. But yeah, he just opted to go for the exact same thing. He was probably thinking like, okay, if I play just a little bit better here and there, maybe I should be winning this matchup. But yeah, Mandibuzz switching things up, definitely.
Kyogre going for the Protect safely here with Groudon switching in, and we get to see what Mandibuzz can do.
Foul Play coming out now. That is boosted by the Dark type from Mandibuzz and does a decent amount of damage, and Spore going into that Protect. So yeah, if you Protect Kyogre and you have that Overcoat ability on Mandibuzz, there's nothing to Spore for that Amoonguss, really, despite all that Mental Herb we saw in the first game.
Yeah, nice safe turn on Luis's end. He gets a little advantage, and at least in the damage department. Jonathan does get Groudon out to set up this Desolate Land, but it's still kind of a tough spot. If you use Precipice Blades as Groudon here, you're not going to do anything to Mandibuzz. There's a good chance that Luis is going to switch, so that's a little bit dangerous. And even the combination of Icy Wind and Foul Play would be really close on Groudon here.
Yeah, definitely. Though it probably would not be enough. Also, he has to account for the fact that Amoonguss might go for the Rage part of the world. Though then again, Overcoat on that Mandibuzz would allow it to bypass that. So I'm not entirely sure how educated Jonathan is about that ability, but he should know, even if Mandibuzz is not the most common Pokemon.
Kyogre goes for this Icy Wind. Amoonguss going to avoid it, and the Foul Play goes into Groudon's Protect. So he does go for that play. Amoonguss goes for the Spore, and this time he hits it.
Yeah, so very good play by Jonathan. Didn't lose anything that turn. Was able to get off that Spore. Yeah, it was probably his safest play as well. Not even like a taunt coming out from the Mandibuzz. If Lewis decided to go with that, could have stopped him. So yeah, good play by Jonathan, and Lewis just didn't really... despite the fact that he has that Mandibuzz on the field, it doesn't offer him too much pressure against that Amoonguss. But there is the Rage Powder coming out.
So I guess we'll get to see what Mandibuzz's ability is here. If it goes for a Foul Play or perhaps a Flying type attack, it's one of the reasons I expected Amoonguss to be a little bit more intimidated.
Yeah, but there is the foul play coming out on that Groudon, ignoring that Rage Powder and getting the critical hit as well. So Groudon is knocked out and Jonathan might be kicking himself a little bit here. Grass Knot on that Kyogre would have, just meant a little bit of damage, but he, I don't know, didn't make the best play there possible, probably. Yeah,
I'm going to guess that he did not know about that overcoat ability. I mean, that's one thing that's tricky in a matchup like this. You just don't see Mandibuzz in competitive play very much.
Yes.
I would guess if you go through the field, probably half the players have no idea what Mandibuzz's ability is. Some of them may not know what type it is. And, if you can use a Pokemon that's a little more obscure like this, it's a big advantage.
Yeah, so now Jonathan has to bring out his Salamence. He doesn't want to go back out into his Kyogre, where then again he's in the position where he just doesn't have a lot of damage potential against the opposing Kyogre, and he definitely wants to make those turns where it is asleep work. So he goes for the Hyper Voice here, but check out Mandibuzz's bulk.
Sturdy Pokemon right there.
Yeah, and another foul play coming out. This time launched against the Salamence, also doing a good amount of damage. Yeah, foul play, just one of those attacks where you don't need to invest anything into your attack stat, but so you can just focus entirely on your bulk. But we did see that Amoonguss, which also probably does not have too many training into its attack stat, doing a lot of damage to that Kyogre with a critical hit.
Yeah, that's a big deal, too. With Salamence and Amoonguss in the field, both of them weak to Ice-type attacks. Even Icy Wind is going to do some pretty serious damage here. So, Amoonguss, that Grass Knot critical hit probably allowing Salamence to knock that Kyogre out with one fewer Hyper Voices than otherwise would have needed. It could be a big step toward Jonathan getting back in this game.
Yeah, but then again, his Amoonguss is just not really able to accomplish anything. Jonathan also realizes that, now switches out his Amoonguss into Kyogre. Now, maybe he is already in a spot where he has to hope for his opponent to get like another sleep turn, so he does not actually knock out that Kyogre right now because it would allow his opponent to get a free switch into his Groudon, but we will see how he goes about this turn. So Kyogre coming in here, Salamence just opting to go for the Protect, so yeah, he does not want to knock out that Kyogre just yet, but let's see, Mandibuzz also has the potential of Tailwind, for example. But Rock Tomb is coming out. What? Things are going completely crazy.
I think Rock Tomb's a really underrated move. I didn't realize Mandibuzz could learn that move.
Yeah, I wasn't aware either.
Yeah, I mean, the rock type damage is nice against a lot of things. Reducing speed by one level, much like Icy Wind, it's usually enough in this format with all the Pokemon being such similar speeds. And something I suspect is very strong in this mirror between double primal teams where, all of them are so close.
Yeah, do you think going by that damage, that could actually be an Assault Vest on the Mandibuzz, since we didn't see any other supportive attack coming out from it just yet?
Yeah, I'm very hesitant to try to make any calls of what a Mandibuzz damage calc should be,
yes,
but yeah, it's definitely
true.
An option. It makes sense, right? I mean, as Mandibuzz does get a handful of attacking support moves.
Yeah, so Kyogre wakes up now, is able to get up that Protect, so it will stay around for another turn. Hyper Voice coming out from that Salamence, and maybe Mandibuzz going for another Rock Tomb to get that speed advantage, but the Thunder coming out right into that Mandibuzz. This time, of course, connecting, and it is enough to take out the Mandibuzz. Woo! I mean, generally, Thunder from Kyogre hitting a bird, I mean, well, that is going to KO, but I wasn't entirely sure what would happen there.
Yeah, I mean, of all the things to kind of turn into a tense moment, right? I mean, if Mandibuzz had survived and been able to use a Rock Tomb, it could have been a big difference in this match. You just kind of just staring intently like, will it knock out? Is this going to be it? Mandibuzz kind of inspiring fear on the battlefield. I would never have expected that to happen.
Yeah, good positional play, though, by Jonathan, not KOing his opponent's Kyogre, but instead switching his own Amoonguss out into the Kyogre to give himself a little bit more offensive pressure so that he would be able to knock out the Mandibuzz. And now with that gun, maybe that could be the start of a comeback for him.
Yeah, I think he's in a pretty nice position here. Kyogre just used its Protect. Salamence is still quicker than it and can knock it out with a Hyper Voice. So even if Jonathan needs to switch here or protect his Kyogre, he's going to get something out of this turn.
Yeah, but Groudon coming in for Lewis is definitely a Pokemon you want to be able to bring out here against your opponent's Kyogre. Yeah, also hindering your own Kyogre, but that's probably not going to matter anyway. So, yeah, it will probably come down to what his last Pokemon is. It might be the Ditto once again.
Yeah, and that could be a big deal here as far as throwing a wrench in Jonathan's plans. As we get deep into this battle, both primal Pokemon still remaining on both sides, though certainly the Kyogre on Louis' side, probably not going to see too many more turns in this battle. Ditto could really change things up. Both sides have to think through now, like, all right, which Pokemon do I want to protect, which Pokemon do I want to switch, how do I want to try to end the battle with the weather I would prefer. Ditto transforming into something could certainly mess with that.
Yeah, Ditto, for example, if it transformed into that Amoonguss, that probably wouldn't be too much of a great thing for Lewis, since, yeah, while it is able to take on that Kyogre, probably repeated Ice type attacks will whittle it down eventually. So would the Salamence be able to just launch Hyper Voices. But yeah, if we would see the Ditto transforming into the Salamence, however, then, I don't know, anything can happen, basically. So Hyper Voice is coming out here after Jonathan decided to switch in his Amoonguss and picks up the KO on Kyogre while doing a decent amount of damage to that Groudon, which goes for a Rock Slide, but I doubt that will be enough to knock out the Salamence.
Yeah, some decent damage, but Salamence does hang on. I was closer than I thought it was going to be. Amoonguss still at almost full health here, and assuming that is Ditto, it is going to transform into Salamence rather than Kyogre.
And that is definitely the one Pokemon that Lewis wanted to transform into, because now he will be able to launch those Hyper Voices, for example, and if he is able to hit first here with his Salamence, he could be in a spot where just Hyper Voice and Precipice Blades could be enough to knock out both of Jonathan's Pokemon. So I do think Ditto could be the game changer here.
I think it could. It's going to be really tough for Jonathan now to try to maneuver back into a situation where Kyogre can do enough damage to take this game for him. Ditto could be the MVP. Now the same speed as Salamence, but we've seen that Quick Claw already. If it's able to move first, knock out Salamence or do big damage to Amoonguss, it could be a game changer. Amoonguss certainly not enjoying facing down these two Pokemon.
The Quick Claw activates. Protect coming out from the Amoonguss, but that will also mean that Jonathan will attack with his Salamence. Hyper Voice is coming out. Salamence will go down, and that might be the end of Jonathan's tournament run here.
Yeah, who would have thought? 2 games in a row now, Ditto's Quick Claw making some plays. Groudon going to miss this Precipice Blaze because of Amoonguss's Protect, but we're back down to 2-2, and the advantage could be on Luis's side. However, Jonathan sending out Kyogre does get control of the weather. Amoonguss's Protect will allow it to hopefully defend Kyogre at least a little bit, but still a tricky spot. You want to use those Ice-type attacks on Ditto, you want to use Water-type attacks on Groudon. Amoonguss not going to be able to accomplish much offensively against either Pokemon, but maybe it could try to get a cheeky Spore off here. Some interesting plays available to both sides.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty tough call. I think the play for Lewis is either to go for the Double Edge to knock out the Amoonguss in case of a potential, like if he was able to take out that Amoonguss with that hit and then hit the Precipice Blades on Kyogre, Kyogre can only take out either the Ditto, Salamence, or the Groudon. So then another hit, as long as Groudon from Lewis's side is faster than the Kyogre, could be able to pick up the KO there. However, for that to happen, Lewis would also need to hit 2 Precipice Blades.
That's super quick Protect on that turn.
Very important Quick Claw activation as the crowd is actually clapping for that. But just a double Protect coming out. So that is actually a play that I think is a little bit underrated in competitive VGC play. Just fishing out for that Protect. If you don't know, if you expect your opponent to protect either of your Pokemon, but you feel like you have the advantage, going for a double Protect make it so that the next turn they have to risk going for the consecutive Protect, which has the lower chance. But yeah, Jonathan either not falling for that or he just doesn't feel like he needs to go for Protect here.
Yeah, I think that actually ended up backfiring because of that. Previously Amoonguss's Protect was down. He would have had to go for the double, and I think because of that, I would have gone for the Double Edge if I was Luis. Now I think everything's kind of back on the table. Jonathan can protect either Pokemon. He's gained a lot of options, while Luis has lost his, where going for the double Protect now would be very dangerous for either of his Pokemon.
Yeah, and even though this game is coming down to the wire, the timer is also something both players need to consider at this point. Only 3 minutes and some seconds remaining, but Hyper Voice is the attack of choice here for Lewis. No Protect though coming out, and will Precipice Blades it? It will connect with both Pokemon, and that should be the end of Amoonguss. Yep, Amoonguss goes down. Kyogre still in there, but will it be able to take on that Groudon in 1v1? It will be close.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to probably come down, does Precipice Blades hit or not?
Yeah.
If Precipice Blades hit, Jonathan's Kyogre should be able to knock out Groudon with a Water-type attack. Otherwise, the quicker Groudon should be able to pull this one out. It's most likely an 85% chance to win.
And both players just, given their moves, don't even try to go for the timer condition. Precipice Blades hits, Jonathan Evans will be eliminated from this tournament, and wow, what an effort here by Luis Lopez coming out, Mandibuzz and Ditto, and not only did he have him on the team, but he brought them to the battle, and they were very important, and probably his key to victory there.
Yeah, Mandibuzz did a great job controlling the early portions of that battle. Ditto big in both battles, and I just can't believe what I'm watching. You're moving on to the top 8.
Top 8 of Nationals.
Yeah, by using Ditto and Mandibuzz to carry the play there. We've seen a lot of Pokemon get added to these Grounded and Kyogre teams as everyone tries to gain an advantage, but I wouldn't have thought that those were the two that are helping him to move on to this deep portion of the tournament.
Yeah, really exciting battle. Maybe Thundurus was the Pokemon that Jonathan could have needed there to against both of them, really, with Thunder Wave and Thunderbolt, for example. But we will ask Luis about what his thoughts were going into that team. That will definitely be very exciting. Thank you so much for co-commentating with me, and we will hit to a short break before an interview with Luis. Hello everybody and welcome back to UK Nationals. I am here joined by Luis. Hello. Congratulations to that game. Of course, the questions a lot of people must be asking themselves right now, why Mandibuzz?
Well, Mandibuzz has an ability that don't affect Spore of Among Us and don't affect Rage Power of Among Us. Among Us has full play of attack against Pokemon with a big attack like Groudon, like Salamence, like Kyogre, big legendaries, no?
Yeah, and
he can use Snarl, he can use Tailwind, he can use Snatch.
Yeah, even Rock Tomb apparently.
Rock Tomb for speed control. There are a lot of possibilities.
It's a very interesting Pokemon for sure.
Yeah.
Now, in that last game where you brought the Mandibuzz, do you think your opponent did not know what Overcoat did since he tried to go for the Rage Powder?
I think that my opponent knows the ability of Mandibuzz, but he don't know the ability protect Mandibuzz against Rage Power.
Yes, so
maybe
it's known that it protects you from Spore, but it also is able to ignore Rage Powder.
Yeah.
So the other unconventional choice in your team is that Ditto. Now, what are your thoughts on Ditto?
Ditto, it's adapted. Can adapt my team and to split Trick Room. To Pokemon like with Sword Dance, allow me to have another big legendary,
Yes.
like Yveltal, like Cherias, and it's very, very, very good Pokemon.
Yeah, I was talking to Scott as well. I mean, it worked in that game. The fact that so many people opt to go for 2 big legendaries and a mega Pokemon as well.
Yeah.
With Ditto, you can copy either of them, and then you have like 3 super legendaries.
In one team, you have 2 legendaries and 1 mega, and
yes.
Ditto, it's the possibilities can transform with 1 mega, one legendary. It's 75%.
Okay, so we also did see that Quick Claw activating on the Ditto quite a few times.
Well, I think that problem with Ditto is speed tie with if Ditto don't carry on Scarf, speed tie with other Pokemon it's always the same, but with Kick Claw, the possibility of to win the speed tie, if more, is maybe 60%.
Yes, it's just a little bit higher, and also against those Trick Room teams, the Choice Scarf doesn't really help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you were able.
It's very strange. I know that in some moments it's very, very good item.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely worked in that set.
Yeah.
Now you were able to make it through the Swiss rounds. You were able to make it into the top 32. You beat the former world champion Arash Omadi, and now you beat Jonathan Evans from the US.
Yeah.
Who will stop you? How far can you go in this tournament?
But with Jonathan Evans, I had a lot of luck. He plays very, very good, and it's true that I had a lot of luck and had a hacks play.
Okay, but you also played really well, so don't talk yourself too low. I think you definitely deserve to win that game with Mandibuzz and Ditto. Now, coming to this tournament, how are you liking the atmosphere, and what was your goal coming to this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Your goal? What did you want to achieve? How far did you want to go in the tournament?
Well, no sé. I try to arrive. I will try to win the tournament.
Okay, thank you very much. Now,
why not? No?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure a lot of people are now rooting for you and your Manibus and the Ditto. Very cool team. Thank you a lot for coming out, and good luck in your top 8 set.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
And we will kick it back to break, and we will be right back with the next couple of games.